I'm Angela Clarke and I wrote the crime thriller Follow Me and the next in the social media murder series, which is called Watch Me, which is out now. Today I'm going to talk to you about how to get published and in particular what agents and editors are looking for. First off, when you're contacting an agent, you need to think about the key basic information that they need to know. This will either go on your cover letter or on your email, depending on how your agent wishes to receive submissions. And do make sure that you check all submission guidelines on their website. So the key things that you want to list on your cover letter or on your email are your name, or the name that you're writing under, the title of your book, and I would suggest to make sure that your title matches the genre that you're working in, that you have a look at what's on Amazon in the best-selling rank of the books that you're writing. You also need to include your genre, so for example, crime thriller. This is important because it tells an agent, ultimately an editor, what kind of book that you're writing and what the reader should expect to get. And you also want to give a brief summation of the plot. In an ideal world, you want to be writing a book that has a high concept or a strong premise. Now, this is something that's often called or kind of sometimes referred to as a log line. You want your plot to be sum upable in one or two short sentences that will be appealing to people and make them want to know more. For example, an example of a strong concept or a high premise would be a married man has an affair with his co-worker and then she turns out to be psychotic and stalks him and his family, which is the logline or the synopsis for Fatal Attraction. Agents and editors are always looking for high concept and strong premises in books because it's something that they know they can sell. So make sure that you have distilled your plot down to those two snappy sentences and that you include that as well in your cover letter or in your email. Moving on from that, agents also want to know if you have any previous publishing experience. For example, if you've ever published anything in a newspaper, even if it was your student newspaper, or if you've ever had a short story published or placed in a competition or published a poem or anything like that. It's all relevant. This is because it tells an agent that you are professional, that you can work to a deadline, that you understand word counts and that your work is already of a publishable quality. They will also want to know if you have any pre-existing audience. If you are lucky enough to have a column in a newspaper, then you have a pre-existing audience of your readers. Similarly, if you have a big profile on social media or if you have a blog with a large number of hits, then you should mention that. I should say that all of these things are not necessary, but if you do have them, they will strengthen your case. And finally, an agent will want to know if you have any relevant experience or interesting life experience to bring to the fore. So for example, if you happen to have been a police person and now you've written a crime thriller, you should certainly mention that in your covering letter. Something that could be used ultimately by a publicist to gain press coverage when your book comes out, then mention that. Very briefly, just one sentence will do it in your covering letter. And finally, when it comes to submitting to an agent and ultimately an editor, a few don'ts. Don't be tempted to do anything gimmicky. No scented paper, no funny colours, nothing weird, nothing that comes in a rubbish bin, nothing that comes shaped as an aeroplane or anything like that. Editors and agents are very busy. My agent receives about 200 unsolicited submissions every week. You need to make sure that you get to the top of that pile, and the fastest way to get chucked is to make yourself stand out in an annoying and irritating fashion. Just don't do it. Similarly, don't be tempted to brag and say that you have guaranteed written the next bestseller, because really nobody could know that without a crystal ball. And if you have a crystal ball, then you probably don't want to be a writer. It's not the easiest way to make money. Go do the lottery instead. And finally, don't be tempted to talk back if you are rejected by an agent. I've seen people do this on Twitter. I know people have emailed mean things to agents. They are just people like you and me, and you need to respect them. They may have rejected your book for a very simple reason, that it's really good, but they've signed something else similar to it, so they're not the best agent for you. Publishing is ultimately a very small industry, and if you're nasty and mean, it will come back to bite you on the ass. So I suggest that you be polite and nice and friendly at all times. Thank you for listening to my tips on how to get published and what agents and editors are looking for. I wish you all the best luck with your hunt for publication, and I look forward to seeing your books on bookshelves soon in the future. You've been listening to me, I'm Angela Clarke. You can catch more tips and videos on my blog tour for Watch Me, which is out now, and ultimately you'll be able to find them on my website, which is www.angelaclarke.co.uk. Bye bye.